Or it's freezing cold and you're doing another show from Studio B because it's not worth even walking outside if you don't have to, other than to take out the garbage or go to the deli to pick up some salami, some steak, whatever the hell it is. Tonight, wherever your mental vacation is, please share it with me. What's the perfect evening? You got to call in, tell me about the perfect evening setting, whether it's around a fire pit or if you're floating on a lake somewhere in an inflatable tube or something like that. I don't know. Is there a smokable that is involved? Some cool, chilly, perspiring drink? It's better than this. There's no character. That's the best way I can say. Where I am right now, there's just no character to the weather. It's just icy, biting wind, debilitating cold. It's miserable. There's no character whatsoever. You know, okay, I was watching, for example, not too long ago, a couple of minutes ago, I was watching a half-hour video that I'm going to put into the playlist for Sunday night, and it was this kid who I guess he vlogs from up in like Fairbanks, Alaska, or something like that. He's in Alaska, someplace where you only get like 4 hours of sunlight a day. And he was building like a double-decker igloo with it had like an enclosed staircase going up to the top. There was like a wood-burning stove in there, but it was pretty incredible. And he built it over the course of like 25 days. In cold, that was the warmest day over those 25 days that he was constructing this igloo was like 15 degrees. 15. The coldest day was negative 45. And he's out there and his head is one like big ball of ice or whatever. But obviously he's used to it. He knows when to call it quits and how to protect himself and all that stuff. But even in like the negative 45, which is significantly colder than what we have over here, the sky is beautiful. There's a little bit of, some snow is falling down. It's something that makes it scenic. There's absolutely nothing here. There's nothing to write home about. There's nothing to take a picture of that would be like, oh, I really want to save this click memory. But it's all right. It's only a couple of weeks out of the year. And then we get back to a little bit more something else. Welcome to the show. It is the 9th of January. It's 7:03 p.m. And Dr. Albert Taylor is going to be coming on next Thursday. That's the 16th, I believe. I believe it's the 16th, yeah. So he's going to be coming on next Thursday, the 16th, which allows us to just open up the lines tonight and do a lot more of what we could not do last night. With the final 18 minutes of last night's show, I knew that everybody was champing at the bit to get onto the air and talk about, especially Canada, Greenland, Panama, Gulf of America, all of those things. Essentially claiming ownership over the Western Hemisphere, and then, allowing everybody south of Mexico to have their illusions that they're sovereign nations and don't also belong to the United States. It's just so ridiculous. But I want to take calls from anybody who had leftover thoughts on that, especially if you are Canadian. If you're Canadian, are you excited to learn our Pledge of Allegiance? If you're from Greenland, if you're like one of the 50,000 people, I think you can fit the entire population of Greenland into Yankee Stadium. And that's the other thing we have to talk about at some point along the way, in the second half perhaps. Yankee Stadium. Was it an ancient megalith that was hiding in plain sight in New York, along with every other skyscraper? Were the buildings already here? Because there are people out there who believe that. And there's so much that was inspired inside of me with last night's talk, where, as you go along the way, and I love talking to Matt Roski from Cultivate Elevate, but as you go along the way, there's just so many things you take mental note of that I really believe you got to take one at a time. And I guess what I'm always looking for when it comes to lost civilizations in like plain sight that are like under our nose, It's one thing to say, well, hey, there's definitely a lot to be told that has been lost to the ages about North American history prior to our settling here and developing the land, because it's an ancient piece of land. You think about Europe. You think about how ancient Europe is, and how so much of that ancient the past is on the record over there. Whereas, you have the 15th century, people really starting from the Eastern Hemisphere, really starting to interact with the Western Hemisphere, and there's such a gap. Whereas every block you turn on in Europe, there's a building there that is at least double the age of the United States itself, or some social club that is 5 times the age of the United States itself. It's ridiculous. A pub. Your average pub in Europe is like 19,000 years older than America, But then there is just, I want to see the evidence that, I don't know. It's hard for me to go all the way with certain things. And I want to show you an example of that later on, because I dug up the Yankee Stadium thing that I brought up with Matt. Maybe I'll hold that for the second half. I really want to take your calls. I really do. This one is incredible, though. Going over to the AP. When I saw this, I said, you got to be kidding me. Because, everybody and their mother does the cyberpunk thing, the neon, which I love. I love that Tron kind of a feel, that crackly, and I still am very into the VHS retro kind of a feel there too, that magnetic tape kind of feel. But I wanted to move a little bit away from cyberpunk and all that, and get into more robust, century-old Art Deco, film noir kind of design for the studio and the show's revamping. And now the Associated Press. I'm so happy that I'm on trend. Art Deco design style is popular again, a century after its heyday. I just don't even know what to say anymore. I was about to buy the Rockefeller Center LED light up display like I have with the Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building. Maybe I do get it too, put it somewhere else in that room. Or maybe I put the Rockefeller Center thing over here behind me. I don't know. Figure it out. I have a canvas being made for me in the black wall behind me. My friend Shannon is, I've commissioned a piece of art with her, and I can't wait to see how that looks. But a century after it was formally introduced at the 1925 International Exhibition of Modern Decorative and Industrial Arts in Paris, Art Deco is enjoying a resurgence in decor, fashion, and more. A new generation is appreciating the style's unapologetically glamorous roots and translating it into something new. The current exhibition at the Museum of the City of New York provides a look at the style that helped define the city in the popular imagination a century ago. In landmarks like the Chrysler Building, the Empire State Building, Rockefeller Center, and Radio City Music Hall, Art Deco City, New York postcards from the Leonard A. Lauder collection also showcases ephemera, clothing. The hell's that? Hold on. Okay, I think Aurora's just being goofy. I hear some goofy sounds coming up. This doesn't happen in the other studio, obviously. But we'll see what happens. Now, I'm not going to get into flapper fashion, but hey, yeah, I was actually hoping for something like this, to be honest. I was hoping that we can get in before others did, but I really, again, this goes back to my hope that we were heading into the new Roaring 20s. That was my hope. Okay, now she's crying. Can't do this. Can't do this, Aurora. Aurora! Aurora! There's no crying babies at the studio. Can't do this. Anyway, I'm going to keep an eye on that. I'm not going to rebrand the show, but I'm glad that the rest of the world is catching up with Quite Frankly. That's good. All right, now the next one up over here is from the Charlotte Observer. I think you'll find this pretty interesting. The Pizzagate gunman has been fatally shot by police outside of Charlotte in a traffic stop. The Salisbury man who died Monday after he was shot by two Kannapolis police officers over the weekend was the Pizzagate gunman arrested in Washington, D.C. in 2016 after he terrified people with a loaded AR-15 inside of a restaurant. This is the guy that shot the solitary bullet that went through the solitary hard drive and the solitary computer there. And now he's gone. Edgar Madison Welch, the man killed, made headlines in 2016 when he entered Comet Ping Pong, a pizza restaurant in Washington, D.C., armed with an assault rifle and loaded revolver. He drove from Salisbury to the nation's capital in search of an alleged child sex ring linked to Hillary Clinton. Oh man, the absurd reduction lives on. Something he learned about from a fake news story. Oh, oh, what the Charlotte Observer doesn't know. Many of the at least one of the Pizzagate debunkers had been recently arrested for child porn and assault. It's incredible stuff, right? Around 10 p.m. Saturday, Welch was sitting in a passenger seat of a gray 2001 GMC Yukon when an officer pulled it over near Cannon Boulevard. And that's when everything went awry. The officer that pulled the vehicle over then moved to the front passenger seat where Welch was sitting to arrest him. But when he opened the door, Welch pulled out a handgun from his jacket and pointed it at the officer. And that'll get you killed every time. What an odd story with an odd end. Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be kicking this one off, and really, you're going to be a part of it from start to finish. I hope you have your talking shoes on because I want you to call in, and I'll be throwing the topics out at you, but the lines are also open for whatever's on your mind. Make it interesting and put it into a nice, comfy nutshell so we can get to the point quick, and then we can ask follow-up questions. That's the best part about it. Throw the hook. Get the hook out there first, and then let's go backwards and color it all in. 914-200-0269. That is the call-in line. The hotline, though, tonight, for those of you who are in California, people who are in California and you have something you want to say, especially if you are a refugee at this point, you have escaped, you've gotten out of there. Anybody from California who wants to call in, the hotline tonight is for you. That's the California escapee hotline, 914-369-1236, 914-369-1236. That's only for people from California who have something they want to say about the current situation. Everybody else can go to the open line at 914-200-0269, and we'll be back in just a flash. Don't go anywhere.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's rock!
That's it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. A couple of things going on out there, though, on this January 9th. I think Matt is going to be in tomorrow night for Friday. We'll be back at the studio tomorrow night. It's going to be warming up. I think we're going to be in the 30s. So that's what he said. I hope he shows up. That'd be great to hang out with him. I feel like I haven't seen him since the George Washington night. But that'll be tomorrow. We'll end the show. The end of a very chilly week, but a productive week at that. And tonight, I don't know. There's just more. There's more all over the place. Here's one for you. From Zero Hedge, Inferno Chaos. LA fire spreads to Hollywood Hills. 5,000 buildings destroyed. Over 180,000 evacuated. Here's the summary. Palisades fire burned 20,000 acres. It is 0% contained as of 7:05 p.m. tonight. That's the update. 0% contained. Zero. While the Eaton fire has expanded to 10,000 acres, also 0% contained. I guess it's gone. The newest fire, Sunset Fire in Hollywood Hills area, another new fire in Woodland Hills. 5 dead, 180,000 people under evacuation orders, most destructive fire in LA history. Tens of billions of dollars in damage are the early estimates. That's with 0% contained. AccuWeather estimates that $135 billion to $150 billion in preliminary damage and economic losses. Over 5,000 homes, businesses, and other buildings have been damaged or destroyed. Elon Musk says that SpaceX will provide free Starlink terminals to areas hit by LA wildfires. And there are arson fears, which, I mean, that has to be a number one culprit, a number one suspicion and theory all the time, just based on the statistics. Over 90% of wildfires are caused by human beings, either arson, negligence, what have you. It's human touch. So that should always be the first thing that you investigate and try to rule out, not climate change. Ridiculous. But here it is. So, and when I look at these fires, there's 4 on the map here. There's 4 on the map. Hearst, Eaton, and Palisades. And you see how they're separated by miles. I mean, they're also, each fire zone is separated at least by 10 miles. So that is where, if anybody out there has any kind of insight into that tonight, I was looking around and considering who would be good guests, and my Rolodex in this category is really slim. But how does this happen? How do these things happen around the same time? I understand where if you have an epicenter of the fire in Palisades, it's just spreading wildly and how it perpetuates itself. But how 15, 20 miles away another one starts without there? I mean, what, did embers blow for 15 miles? I doubt that. So what is with the coordination of this? And I use that word very loosely. I don't know. So anybody who has picked up any insight onto that aspect of these now, 3 or 4 fires that are happening at the same time and are separated by what I would consider many miles. I'm looking at the map key over here up in the top left corner, and about an inch of space is 10 miles. Well, there's about an inch of space in between Eaton and Hearst and Palisades. So I got to know how that all happens at the same time. Is it sympathy fires? I don't get it. I don't know, unless it's closer than that, and this is just the evacuation warning. I don't know. So I just wanted to bring that up and see what the hell you guys think about it. And yeah. So an aerial survey conducted by CAL FIRE has determined that 5,316 structures, including homes, businesses, and smaller buildings such as RVs and sheds, have been destroyed by the fire, making this one of the most destructive fires in California history. JP Morgan's Jimmy Buhler told clients that potential loss for insurers could easily exceed $20 billion. Let's take a call. We're taking a call from out there. This is the California hotline. What is going on, 937?
Hey, this is Velas.
Hey, Velas. How are you? What do you know?
I know a lot because I work with the state of California.
Okay. So am I interpreting these maps right, that there's miles in between these particular fires, or is this map showing something, but the evacuation orders is not the exact footprint of the fire and how widespread and interconnected it is?
Well, I'm right now, as you and I are talking, because I'm got 2 computers open and I'm doing my job here for the folks on the West Coast. I'm looking right now at California's Office of Emergency Services website, which I've got access to for what I do. And the net of it is right now in real time, there are 92 fires.
Individual fires?
You're seeing the bigger ones on your screen, depending on which site you're looking at. Now, you have to remember, of those 92, you've really got maybe 5 or 6 big ones. And those are the Palisades Fire, which everybody's familiar with, which is to the left or to the west of Los Angeles. And then north of that is the Kenneth Fire. And then to the right of that is the Eaton Fire, which is over by, what city is that? It's not Burbank. It's Pasadena, over in Pasadena. And then north of that is the Hearst Fire, and then further up in the mountains is the Lydia Fire. But the Eaton Fire is 14,000 acres. Palisades is 18,000 acres. The Kenneth Fire is 50, and the Hearst Fire is a couple of hundred. And the tool I'm using right now actually shows where the aircraft are that they're using to dump water on there. But yeah, I mean, it's extensive.
Okay, so when they are reporting that they're reporting on 4 main fires over here, and they're all separated by from what I see, if I'm going to apply the key on the graph, by at least 10 miles each. What we're not seeing is that in between there, it's pockmarked with micro fires.
Correct. And so, for instance, the Palisades Fire, which, like I said, is to the west, or if you're looking at a map, it's to the left of Los Angeles. It comes right up to where Santa Monica is, and then in between that area and the Eaton Fire, which is up in the mountains, the Angeles National Forest, right in the middle is Beverly Hills. And if you look at that map, you'll see, or if you look at the map I'm looking at right now, there's a tiny, not that it doesn't matter, but there's a tiny little fire up there right now that in Beverly Hills that keeps getting restarted. They put it out, it starts up again, they put it out. And the challenge when you have these Santa Ana winds like what California's been going through is, for all of us living out here in the Midwest, I mean, it's the equivalent of a wall of tornadoes coming through your town. So the other analogy I've used with people is go start a small fire in your backyard and then put a leaf blower on it. I mean, it's the same thing.
Well, that's what I've been observing over here. And I asked last night whether or not there is some sort of an escalating effect to all of these storm systems. Is the winds from Santa Ana and all that, is that always, we're talking winds of excess of 100 miles an hour? I saw that statistic thrown out there, that metric thrown out there the other night, and I'm like, this is like a blowtorch. I mean, let's say there's not a fire out that night. Is it still possible to get hurricane strength winds just out of nowhere? This is a constant thing, or is the fire have something to do with it?
They're connected in this case. For a couple of reasons, one of which won't shock anybody when I say what I'm about to say in a moment. You've got Santa Anas that run all the way from Northern California down to Southern California, and anybody who knows Palm Springs tends to get them a little bit more often just because of the differentials between that desert floor out there and the mountains being nearby. I mean, it's classic physics. You've got heat and cold hitting each other, and it does things. The Santa Anas tend to hit California at certain times of year. This is one of them. It's no different for folks that are familiar with the Middle East or even Phoenix, Arizona, when they get what's known as the havu, which is just that big wall of dust and wind, that comes through. The problem is that when, and it's been said by others, you've got a cycle in California the last few years where it's like when I was out there in 2014, it was incredibly dry. The whole state was in a drought. A few years later, they got some rain. Then they went back into a drought again. And then last year, they got rain again, but then everything dried out. And so when you get these rains, and it's one of the things I'm going to cover on our Rogue News show tomorrow, is one of the challenges with California is that it's a desert. So, I mean, like when it rains, Frank, things grow really fast and you get all this brush and stuff on the ground. And California for years, regardless of politics, left, right, it doesn't matter. For decades, California was one of the best states at managing ground brush and other material that can burn quickly to make sure that these sorts of things didn't get out of control. Now, I don't want to say these fires, quote unquote, have gotten out of control, but yes, it is very hard right now to contain them. But it's why Northern California keeps going through these rolling blackouts, because what happens is it gets hot. Everybody uses more and more air conditioning. The lines get overloaded. And in the old days, if a line went down and it's live and it's sparking and stuff, you might get a fire, but not much would happen because they regularly cleaned up all that underbrush. And they I'm going to oversimplify, they kind of cut down every other tree so that it kind of got in the way of fires really, really getting going. But for the last couple of years, all throughout the state of California, that kind of land management has not been taking place. And so when these fires get started, you've just got layers and layers of dry brush that, if you have a cause of fire, whatever that may be, and then you get these winds, it just takes off.
Yeah, that's
now,
what we're definitely seeing that.
I'm not going to make any statements from fact. All I can say is what's in the public domain, although obviously I've heard things doing what I do. There are known situations where there's some arson involved. Was the Palisades such a situation? I don't know. But there are other fires that have, like some of these small fires that you and I were talking about. A number of those, they've got people with fire starting material up there, setting those things.
It's and then when you start looking at the projected losses that are being released right now, going into the hundreds of billions of dollars already, and again before, like you said, they're not out of control, but then all the reporting says that it's been 0% contained, so that tells me there's no control. So how much farther does it go? Is this the nation's first $1 trillion fire?
Natural disaster.
I mean, seriously, we're a couple. At least the reporting of this has been about a week, however long now. But with 0% containment, we're already at a fifth of $1 trillion. It's crazy.
It's a lot of money. It's going to be a while before we get final figures. The other thing, and part of the comments I've got prepared for our audience tomorrow is there's 10 million people in Los Angeles County, and that's a lot of folks all packed into that area. And even though, yes, the Palisade Mountain Range had very wealthy people and stuff living up there, and this certainly isn't the case for everyone, but yes, as it's been in the news, a sizable number of people right before these fires began, their coverage was cut. And, I don't, as I'm often saying on our show, I don't care whether you're a person of modest means or you're a millionaire. A major bill is a major bill, and you're going to feel it. The other thing, too, that I'm working with right now is because of the impact of especially the Palisades fire and the number of homes that have been lost, there's an immense impact now to the city of Los Angeles as well as the universities and so on in the area, because you've got folks who literally have lost everything.
Yeah.
And so those and this, by the way, Frank, is not something the media is talking about. So your show gets this before anybody else does, even my own people. This is a major thing that nobody is even thinking about right now. Is whether it's Glendale or some of these other cities, you have city personnel, you have universities, you have utilities, you have law enforcement. The list goes on. Not everybody, but some of the work I'm doing with some of the universities, I mean, they're losing large numbers of people who are saying, I can't come into work, or the other thing that's happening, which a lot of organizations in California are scrambling right now to do this, is do you have, like in the case of one of the universities I'm working with, I'm not laughing because it's funny, it's just the irony of it. Can you give us space in one of the indoor gyms and just let us camp out there while we figure out what we're going to do with the kids and the dogs and stuff? I mean, it's California. That's the other thing too, is people have got all these pets. It's like they ran out of the house with a cat under one arm and a dog under the other, and the husband and wife or the couple or whomever hopped in the car with a kid and off they went. And it's like everything they own in this world just went up in flames.
Yeah.
And so, an employer is sitting there saying, hey, look, we'll help. But at the same time, people, doing work of all kinds, whether civil, federal, or whatever, in the state are now trying to tackle, at least in Southern California, are trying to tackle, okay, how many folks that we've got working for us have no place to live? And can we put you back to work if we give you a place to live, at least for, 90 days or whatever? You might be sharing a bathroom, but, this is the kind of stuff that I'm trying to help people with right now.
Yeah, it's all the stuff that's going to be completely overlooked as well. Velas, thank you so much for calling in and giving us a little bit on that. Everybody, you can listen to further coverage. That you can tell that Velas is putting this together, and it'll probably be a very well conducted broadcast at Rogue News. So, thank you so much for dropping in on me, man. I'm glad to get these calls.
Thanks, Frank, and my best to the family.
All right, and what he's saying there too is that's the bigger thing, because average people's impact is always going to be the most. That's going to be the biggest piece of it all. Celebrity involvement, celebrity impact, whether they are somebody on our team or the other team politically or whatever. But the big names, that's all very headline grabbing, but it's nothing compared to the impact on average people. And that's what Adam Carolla was talking about too. I don't know how much this actually really does change. I think the bigger things that the bigger conclusions he was drawing from this 5-minute segment of his show or something. I think he was broadcasting from a hotel or something like that recently. And he's talking about the impact that people are having and how this is really going to be a big wake-up call for a lot of the hopelessly liberal people that are out there living in LA that are watching everything that they own go up in flames. Not necessarily even getting into the weeds about the way that the state is run on an administrative level, an ideological level, how you can be left so vulnerable to disasters like this, and to be able to put your money on that this was going to happen again and again and again, based on the unwillingness to do things like clear brush and to do controlled burns and to try to get in on any kind of prevention of this. But of course, you can't do it when you're vetoing bills, over the last couple of administrations over there in California, because you don't want to upset the habitat of some tortoise or a local finch or something like that. And you're diverting water out into the sea instead of being able to use it, further downstate and whatever. So there's a lot here that you have to expect that one day it was just like I called it last night, a tinderbox scenario, literally tinderbox scenario. But it's the little people and those little things that you're not going to hear that much about. Adam Carolla was talking about the not necessarily even just everything that was overlooked administratively with the management of the state from a vegetation standpoint, but he was talking about the people that are going to be a little bit more red-pilled when they attempt to rebuild and have to face all of the bureaucratic red tape regulation kind of stuff in getting licenses and permits and all that to lay down new foundations and get money rolling for them again. He said it's a nightmare that's going to wake a lot of people. I don't know how far I go with that, but I thought it was pretty good insight as to all of the little stories of woe that is going to be front and center in so many people's lives, well past the time that this is no longer grabbing headlines. Because as we all know, if it bleeds, it leads. And right now, it's bleeding. So it's leading. 845, you're on the open line. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank. I guess not enough has been talked about. And I'm not. Let me restart. Maui, Canada, 2 years ago, and the satellite images of fires starting simultaneously.
I remember those.
Yeah, and there's another fella on YouTube. He's a bald guy, the fat tattooed monkey, whatever the hell his name is. No, he's a nice guy. He was replaying that video over and over again. You can't verify this stuff, but I do remember the Canada wildfires seemingly started simultaneously. These started simultaneously. Maui, these homes are burning like nobody's business. It shows the quality of the construction materials. They're just boom, gone. But just sort of strange. This is very close. Anyway, and as far as the people in California, like having a mea culpa, coming to terms with the government that they voted for and the things that they believe in. When North Carolina went down in that hurricane, you saw an outpouring to these people. These people don't care about one another. You're not seeing an outpouring like he's talking about. Oh, maybe the university will open up the gymnasium so that we could sleep there. you're I don't think we understand the degree of isolation that these people live in and the turbid psychology that feeds their politics. So are the Pussy Riot Hat girls gonna like band together and is like will they clap if the federal government says if you were affected by the fire you're going to get a free COVID vaccine? Don't worry.
I understand what you're saying, and thank you for the call. I'm trying to think. Okay, so starting from the front on this one, again, I would really love to get some insight on that. I remember those maps in Canada where they were time lapse maps from, I guess, satellite altitude or something, where you can see these things that you'd have to imagine from a ground point of view. There's no real way. Logically, I can't see it. That's why I would love a professional to tell me. A fireman, somebody who deals especially in rural and dense forestry or all that stuff. But how the hell it could be that in different locations that are at least far enough away that, an ember from one patch of forest is not making its way 20 miles northeast to get another thing started over here. You just wonder how that stuff starts up altogether, or within such close time frame, not proximity per se. I've seen similar things like that with California, but again, what do I know? It's not my specialty, so I'd like to know a little bit more about that. Again, there are people. When you think about changes of hearts in California, the one thing I usually think about and try to consider is how A-list is the change of heart. Like when you start seeing people at the top starting to change what they're doing and change their tone on things and kind of, break away from the herd on one thing or another because of how, local, I would say statewide administration is affecting their lives, business-wise, personally, whatever. That's different from everybody else. When we look at somewhere like California, we're waiting for these big liberal poster childs to say, I can't take it anymore. Poster children to say, I can't take it anymore. I'm voting Trump or something like that. But again, and I was talking about this with Zach and Adel not too long ago, earlier on in the afternoon. I have a hard time these days saying, you can't trust American elections, even in red states, and then also being comfortable enough to say, if you live in California and New York, you get what you vote for. Who knows? Who really knows who's getting what they vote for? Would it still be edged toward Democrat political dominance in New York and in California if all things were equal? If all the things that like Marley Hornick at the New York Citizens audit was able to recommend be completely ripped out and replaced as far as cleaning things up, being able to verify an election, even if it is a Democrat who wins. The fact that you can't verify an election, you truly can't verify an election in red and blue states it makes you wonder. 2024 is a situation where we had an upswell of people turned out in massive numbers. And not only did that help turn the tide to the point where we never thought that we were going to get up until 2024, it was, well, hey, thank God for the Electoral College because that the way things are going, that may be the only way that an election can be won again. Never thought that the popular vote was in play, but I guess, this was different, especially in the way that with so much turnout, it limited the way that they can pump fake shit in there. I have to imagine. I can't keep blaming everybody that lives in a state that has Democrat controlled state government and all that stuff for getting what they voted for. Who knows if they are? I mean, there are individuals, there are groups I have no sympathy for who, wear their thoughts and their beliefs and their ideology on their sleeve, and And, and then they have to wallow in the shit and they try to evade responsibility and push it onto somebody else. But I don't know what that's going on. And something else there too, when you think about North Carolina and a devastation there with the water versus Los Angeles, where you're going from rural areas to urban areas, you're going from water to fire. There is still, it's totally different. And, I don't know how much people are helping each other. I'm not getting too much from anything out there. I'm sure that people are coming up and trying to help each other, but it's just different settings. And I don't think everybody's a zombie. It's just that when you have 10 million people, 11 million people in one area versus, tens to hundreds of thousands spread out across a large amount of area. It's different. It's just totally different. So I don't know. I don't know how much to put on there. It's I reserve my ire for the people in the media who are food fighting in whatever way they can to save face. It's really pathetic. People trying to go after Donald Trump because, he's just reiterating what all of us have been seeing for, at least a decade and a half, where you start realizing, oh, this is going to be a really bad situation. Why are there so many wildfires? The only thing that the state tells us is that the climate is changing, but this can't be the only reason. And in fact, it's not even the fifth reason. You start looking at everything else. So when Trump or anybody rightfully puts it on the administrative state in California, it really goes to show where people are at mentally if they can't just agree that, yes, the way that the state is being managed is terrible. The reason why it's hard for them to do that is because the way that the state is being mismanaged from this standpoint is directly tied into the liberal belief about climate change and the way that the world needs to be restored. I don't know. Disrupting any kind of natural habitat, even if it means that you're going to find yourself in the middle of these blowtorch hellscapes every 5 to 6 years. And this seems like the big one, if you ask me. Anyway, I've got the open line up, 914-200-0269. There, for those of you who are in California, if you have anything else you want to put out there, 914-369-1236, 914-369-1236. We can take another call. 307, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, what's going on there?
I just had a thought. You're talking about elections and stuff, and I find it odd that the state that took 38 days to count the ballots is now burning. And I wonder how many places that held ballots that could go back and be audited and recounted perhaps are no longer with us.
Oh,
to catch my drift.
I'm sure. I mean, even if it's just by happy chance or something else, I'm sure that somewhere in the tens of thousands of acres that is being incinerated right now, there is some kind of useful information that has been destroyed.
I'm quite certain, but that's just something that popped into my head. I'm like, that's awful convenient.
Yeah. Well, like you said, 30 days to keep counting. It just makes you wonder how much are Californians actually getting what they vote for? How really?
Exactly.
There is at least a nice big fatty margin of question mark. Perhaps it is a liberal state. Perhaps it is, but is it a 13-point margin state? I don't think so. I don't think so.
I just predict when it comes time and this all blows over and the fires are out and somebody says let's audit California, they'll go, oh, gee, sorry, we lost everything. All electronic ballots, all paper ballots, they all burned up. Yeah, well, I don't know. It's a good point. Thank you for the call, Amy. That could be it. That could be a part of it, at least. In the middle of it all virtual, all digital. Let's see.
Stosub says, "Good evening, Frank and Franklies. Hope all is well. Just figured I'd rip a flyby in the ship and say hello. Thank you. And thank you, Doug Simmy, who's also out there hanging out. Let's see. On Rumble, we got a good amount of people watching. Hello. I'll be reading those Rumble rants soon. And let's take another call. 702, you're on the air. What's on your mind?
Hey, Frank. So my husband had a theory that I thought was interesting. I'm here in Las Vegas, and we go to California quite a bit. And, you know, now is the season for the homeless and their warming fires. And when you go through California, Southern California, there's all of these tents and under the freeways and with the winds, and they're cold. We have the winds here right now in Vegas, like for 3 days. It's horrible. It's cold. It's blustery. And we know of some local homeless areas here in Las Vegas, and that's what they do is they have these warming fires. And when you look at the surrounding areas of these homeless encampments, there's all kinds of stuff that you would see on like freeway mediums, the dead grass. Nothing gets cleaned out. So you can imagine these warming fires, and haven't heard anybody say anything about that part of it. Arson, yes. Unintentional, I don't know, but the homeless people that are on all these drugs and the fentanyl, you've seen it all. They're not responsible with fires. And I can just see how that can spark, and it to me explains why they're in places. I mean, it's no secret that California is full of homeless encampments, and they've moved them out of, the certain areas. I don't need to explain to you that.
Well, what I had heard, I don't know where the hell it was. It might have been earlier on today. I was watching some television interview with a firefighter who had suggested that they may have found the origin for the Palisades fire, and it was something that had, it was like a backyard fire. Something that had happened in a backyard, and had maybe they were next to a ridge, whatever the hell it was. But you're right about that there too. There's so many variables, and now there's just so much going on. To find patient zero, and
it's not even so much about patient zero, because I think it's just, listen, I think there's a lot of warming fires and that kind of thing. They have to stay warm. I mean, and I just see that not all of them are starting these brush fires, but it doesn't take that many. I don't know. I'm just, it's something my husband threw out. Like I say, we know somebody with a business, and there's like this little homeless encampment there, and they have these warming fires, and they're protected by the city. It's weird. The homeless are more protected than regular citizens. So I don't know, but I think it's a good theory. And when my husband said it, and so when I hear brush fire in the forest, I don't see that. It's not there. It's in these pockets where all of these, Frankie, it's unimaginable, these homeless encampments.
I haven't been there since January of 2019, but I was there in the Anaheim area for about 3 years in a row. And every time I went there, the encampments grew. They were just like lining all of the on-ramps and off-ramps of every major highway out there. We're talking about gigantic. I don't even know where they got the cardboard.
Even onto people's property. My husband said if that was me, I wouldn't pay my property tax. Homeless encampments on people's personal property.
Yeah, I know. It's unreal. And at one point, I did a double take because I thought I was seeing like double-decker cardboard houses. I said, wait a second, does that cardboard house have a second floor? How do they even have the support for this? I was looking at, it couldn't have been the case. Maybe they just built it upwards so they can stand up inside of it, and maybe it wasn't a second floor. How do you have a second floor of cardboard? But it was such a highly developed encampment just from like year to year, and I was able to get little snapshots once a year for 3 years. And you bring up a good point. There's just so many variables that at this point it doesn't even feel like it is It doesn't even feel like it is appropriate to even bring up.
Well,
Because
yeah.
it's just like, let it burn. It's got to be defeated at some point. It's got to be contained and put out, and then when you're licking your wounds, maybe try to make sense of it. But right now, it's just a mad dash, and it's incredible, and it's incredible, of course, how it's just one thing after another. From the holiday season to right now, there has been no breaks. It's been one news catastrophe after another.
Yeah. Well, and it's all Donald Trump's fault.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no doubt about it. Well, thank you for the call, and send my best to your husband, too.
Thank you, Frank. I will.
All right. Take care.
Thanks. Okay. You too. Thanks.
All right. Let's go to the California line. Norm, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yes.
Go ahead.
You got my name.
Well, remember, this is the hotline is the old Skype line. So on Skype, I have some OG numbers stored with names and all that stuff. I can't do that on Zoom. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm here in Burbank, Glendale area. Got fires all around me. So I'm finding out more about this stuff from you guys than I am from our local news. We just got like an evacuation notice sent to the entire county by accident.
What do you mean? What do you mean accident? Like they rescinded it afterwards?
Yeah, they said it was a mistake. It went out. It was only supposed to go out to certain areas. They sent it to everybody in Los Angeles.
Jeez.
County, not even Los Angeles. This happened maybe 45 minutes ago. And then I found out on the news it was a mistake because I was like, I'm still in the middle of all the fires, but I still got mountains around me. Like, but my friends in like the East Valley I was on the phone with one of them, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta go." It was like it freaked him out.
So you're saying that you're saying that everybody in Los Angeles County, which is about 10 million people, all got a false alarm to.
From what I understand, everybody did.
Oh, okay.
Everybody I've talked to so far. And the news said it was a mistake.
Jeez, it's a whoopsie 10 million person evacuation notice. Whoopsie. Jeez, if you thought traffic was bad in LA on the average day with no emergencies, it wouldn't even be possible to get everybody out of there.
Yeah, exactly. And then the person I was on the phone with, he was like, "I don't even know where to go." I gotta get my dogs. I gotta get yeah.
There's just so much here. Oh, and thanks for anything else you want to leave us, Norm?
No, I'm safe, guys. I have had a lot of people contact me because they know I'm right now. I'm safe for now. So I still got like smoky skies, but it still hasn't hit my area yet, Burbank. Which hopefully
it doesn't. Hopefully there's a little bit of a pause here. Thanks for the call, Norm. All the best to you. I mean, so who else is out there? Jeremy Ryan Slate. Now, Jeremy Ryan Slate is he's from New Jersey, but he told me the other day, hey, so I'm actually in California right now. He's in California until April. And he said that the Palisades fire, this was as of yesterday, was 30 minutes west of him. And the Eaton fire was 30 minutes east of him, and he's stuck in the middle with all the smoke. I wonder if he's going to be able to stay there until April. So I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, I was thinking about this too. It's all there's a lot of synchronicity. If you have followed along with the Quite Frankly book club, there is so much synchronicity. It's incredible. Even the books that we pick that we think is just going to be a nice little seasonal pick, it'll be a way to decompress and stay away from the world at large. But there's so many parallels and there's so many weird things linking everything together. Last January we were doing Lucifer's Hammer, the asteroid, science fiction book, and much of that takes place in Los Angeles. and the evacuation of Los Angeles, and and the impact and all of the recovery afterwards, and people trying to just survive the fallout and whatever. Obviously that's a worldwide catastrophe book and all that. So I mean, there's just some things about this that I keep thinking about those readings with Lucifer's Hammer, and now that we're reading Fahrenheit 451, and last night's discussion about fire destruction meant, used and utilized in a very specific way to wipe out something that was there before, a history, a link to the past that an authority, a parasitical authority, no longer wants people to have any link or connection to, and just wiping things away. We were talking about, again, the theory of the World's Fairs being part of that erasure, where these gigantic cities are just, brought up out of nothing, and then away they go. A little bit of a tease of the future that never comes, or whatever the hell it is. And now reading Fahrenheit 451, Ray Bradbury, where it's a projection into the future. And again, this was written in 1951, something around there. So you want to talk about the slippery slope. The guy had some foresight. And for the firemen, the role of the firemen in Fahrenheit 451, not to be to extinguish fires, but to show up with their hoses, that instead of, spraying down an affected area with water, they're showing up doing the bidding of the state to destroy books and to destroy any kind of link to the past that people might be holding on to, with their hoses of kerosene, that they're the ones that show up to quickly and violently set the fires and erase whatever the hell they need to erase. It's so crazy. It's just crazy. There's always a little something that makes everything link eerily together. And we might have a little bit more on that in the second half. So the lines are open, 914-200-0269. That's the open line. You can call in with whatever. If you are calling from California, the California hotline is 914-369-1236. That's only people from California who are bringing some firsthand accounts here. Let's take another one from the hotline. 650, you're on the air. Go ahead. Hello.
Hey, Frank.
Hey.
Hold on.
You got it.
Hey, I'm calling from California.
Great to have you. Who and what's your name?
My name's Greg.
Greg. So
I sent you an email before.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, go ahead.
Go ahead. Are you there?
Yeah.
Well, what everybody's talking about, as far as the fires being so far apart, in my opinion, and I spent a few years as a fireman, and I grew up in Southern California, and now I live in Northern California. And so as far as the fires being far apart, they can't shut off the power lines to everybody in Southern California. And when the wind blows through at 100 miles an hour, all the power lines go across the mountains down there. And so they get the wind blowing and the power lines fail, just like they did in Paradise a couple of years ago. So that's one thing. And of course, the homeless too. And then the no water. I don't know what to tell you about the no water thing, how you don't refill a reservoir. But it's just one of those things. It's like, a bunch of bad mistakes, just like any fire anywhere. It's a series of errors until somebody puts it out.
So you're saying that, and I think I was watching a little bit of this on Matt Christensen's show last night. You're saying that one of the key ways that a lot of these distances can be shortened, and how a fire from one area can quickly be transferred to a fire in another area, is that when electrical systems start giving way, that is when we have the fire that charge that pretty much travels along the way, the copper wire.
No.
Okay.
No, just the wires fail in these different areas at different times, in a canyon, on the top of a mountain. And so they look like they're related, but they're all failing because of the weather and because of no upkeep, either from PG&E that did it in Paradise, or Southern California Edison that's in charge of Southern California.
I understand what you're saying now. You know why I brought up the same. I brought that up before. What I was saying before was because I saw a video where some people were wondering whether or not there was some kind of a drone or some kind of a rocket that was being shot inside of this smoky, I don't know. It just looked like a little residential area with the mountains in the back, and you just saw this traveling line of sparks. And people in the comments were saying, no, that is fire traveling across a power line. And then in seeing that, I was like, well, now I can see how a fire can quickly skip a couple of blocks down the line ahead of where the fire is before it. I mean, that's one way. So wherever these things do fail, they bring the possibility of a new spark. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and the dry brush everywhere, the winds that come off the desert, like they were saying, the Santa Ana winds come through Palm Springs off the Mojave Desert, and they blow through there, and they also just dry everything out. And I grew up in Southern California, and so those fires happened all the time. Of course, not to this extent. But they've had fires down there for, since people have been down there. But like you said, there's also talk about maybe arson, people taking advantage because they see something like this happen and they like disaster. And there's also homeless people, but there's tons of mismanagement of the fire department, mismanagement of resources, mismanagement of the power. I mean, it's just, like I said, mistakes.
I just got a super chat that came in from Paul, and Paul said, Frank, most fires are caused by homeless or PG&E. Santa Ana winds create a condition for common fires to become catastrophic. The Delta smelt created the fake drought. The prison realignment exploded the homeless. Sierra Club hampers brush clearing. So yeah, I mean, one tripwire after another. I thank you so much for the call. You're out of harm's way though right now, right?
Oh yeah, I'm up in Northern California, but I still have family in Southern California. But luckily, they're all safe and they're out of harm's way. Okay,
well, I'm happy to hear it, and I pray to God, like I'm sure everybody else, that that some kind of sanity is restored and the destruction can be stifled. So, thanks for calling in.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.
Okay. Let's take a very short break for intermission. When we come back, I'm going to take more of your calls, absolutely. But I also just want to throw some things out there, other things happening today. And I still thinking about Greenland and Canada. I want to just make sure that you guys know you can call in on a number of topics this evening. Let's do that and get on back. So don't go anywhere. It is 8:04.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out to press the like button.
Entering, quite frankly.
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 Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly, guys.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
So everybody watch. Quite frankly. With Frank.
Dare you.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. Welcome back. It's the second half. I knew this one was going to go by quick. It always goes by quick when I'm at home, by the way, because it's just so cozy over here. And as much as I love Studio A, when I have a nice night to just take phone calls from people while I'm home, first of all, the phone calls always flow nicely when I'm home. Do you guys feel like you're just, you're more prone to, why do you feel like you're more prone to call in when I'm doing the show from home? Is that actually a factor? What do we have here? A couple things off the top. Joe Biden blasted for falling asleep at Jimmy Carter's funeral as the wife Jill forced to nudge him, and Bush checks on him. Well, what's there to check on? The guy's checked out. I mean, he's... You saw about this? Former President Barack Obama sharing a joke with President-elect Donald Trump before the state funeral service for Jimmy Carter. People were wondering, what were they talking about? What were they yucking it up on? Everybody's like, I saw some people say they're all on the same team. I said, let me tell you something. And I don't know anything about these people. And but I can say that in some situations, it is just as easy as You got to put your community face on and just be out there. You know, I've been in plenty a bar where there were people that I'm not necessarily at odds with, but I don't like them. I have to imagine that they don't like me too much. We're not going to be chilling anytime soon. But still, you're shaking hands, you're yucking it up, and you just understand you're getting a lay of the land, and you're just making your presence known. You work the room. I mean, that's just the way it is. I think Donald Trump is going to show up around all these other presidents and first ladies and all that other stuff, failed, whatever the hell it is, and like be the downtrodden boy that nobody likes. So I'm just going to stick to myself. No, you go and shake hands with people. Crack a joke. But people are trying to read their lips as to what they're actually joking about. This is from War Clandestine. Based on the professional lip reader's analysis of the video, Trump is telling Obama some sort of deal he pulled out of and that he needs to discuss a matter of importance in a quiet place. Trump is not cracking jokes. That's a nervous laugh from Obama. Make no mistake, these two men are not friendly. Obama literally tried to have Trump assassinated. Trump is bullying Obama in this video. He is just doing it in a professional and tactful manner. Trump is flexing on Obama here, subtly, indirectly telling Obama that he knows what Obama has done. I don't know. I'd have to look at it a little bit more. Who are the professional lip readers? I don't know about that. I mean, he's definitely operating under the understanding that people in that room, it's not a matter of, so-and-so doesn't like you, and so-and-so said that your hair is silly, and this one and that one thinks that, you've gained a little weight, and, oh, he made a joke about your wife. I mean, there are people in there who had no doubt a vested interest in him being dead right now. So, you got to put all that aside and just save face. But I would like to see who's reading lips. Does Bombards still do body language? Although I'm not looking at body language as I need to figure out what people are saying. Maybe John Boy can do it. John Boy's a great lip reader. Does all the lip reading for the sports replays and stuff like that. So anyway, that's another thing that happened today, the Jimmy Carter funeral. I watched like 5 minutes of it, and one or two eulogies, and I don't know. I saw Mike Pence, and what's his wife's name? Karen. Not give Donald Trump a look. Who cares? I like watching people be petty. It's funny. It's funny to me. But let's see. Oh, here's another one for you, ladies and gentlemen. Just throwing this out there in case somebody wants to comment on it, because we got a couple of comments last night in the short amount of time that we had for calls. Here it is from Zero Hedge. What is the economic value of Greenland, and why does Trump want it so badly? By Michael Snyder. All of a sudden, everyone is talking about Greenland. Normally, Greenland is a place that is largely ignored by the rest of the world, but apparently, Donald Trump is very serious about acquiring it. But what would that look like? If Greenland is made the 51st state, it would have as many U.S. senators as the state of California. That could have very serious implications for the balance of power in Congress. And how could... Wait, we're talking about a state? This wouldn't just be a territory? And how would Greenland vote in U.S. presidential elections? Has anyone even considered that? Of course, Greenland would become just another U.S. territory, but why would the citizens of Greenland want to become the next Puerto Rico? That certainly doesn't sound very appealing. And why is Trump making such a big deal out of it anyway? Approximately 56,000 people live in Greenland, and 80% of it is covered in ice. The truth is that it all comes down to natural resources. In particular, Greenland has lots and lots of oil. The U.S. consumed an average number, approximately 20 million barrels of petroleum a day. So 100 billion barrels is a serious amount of oil. Oh. It also turns out that the Chinese are very interested in rare earth elements that are buried under the dirt in Greenland. In fact, one particular area of Greenland is home to one of the world's largest undeveloped deposits of rare earth elements outside of China. And it's also been estimated that there are more than 38 million tons of rare earth deposits in Greenland. So who will end up benefiting from these deposits? Will it be U.S. or will it be China? Well, I mean, we were reading something about this last night with the shipping lanes. That's something else there too. It's very strange. It's very strange, to be born when I was born, and to think about, our grandparents being around when we still didn't have, it was only just 48 states. Alaska and Hawaii weren't states yet, and it was just 48 stars on the flag. The flag looked balanced, nice. There wasn't diagonal lines. Everything was just all nicely lined up with the stars. Then they add those 2 stars and they screw everything up. I don't know. It's just strange. You get born into an era of American society that you think that the expansion is over. And then, of course, came the 21st century and all the wars that came with it. And we have de facto occupations of so many parts of the world. And you start learning about clandestine operations all over the place and nation building and dictator toppling. And it's just like, what color is really the world map? Very strange stuff. But I don't know what you guys think about it. I'm all for the jokes and the memes. I like taunting left-leaning Canadians about, no, you just sit back. We'll decide whether or not we want to buy you or not. I've had plenty of Canadians get in touch with me, though, and say, Frank, I would welcome it. I think I actually have one over here. Here you go, from Rob. Rob got in touch with me. He said, hi, Frank. As a Canadian, I would be thrilled to join the United States, mainly because of your Bill of Rights. We have a Bill of Rights in Canada, but what is lacking in ours is the First and Second Amendments. Also, another very big thing is getting bent over by the tax man. 40% of the hours that I work goes directly to the government, and I hate that the spending of that money benefits bureaucrats more than the citizens. What do you think goes on over here, my friend? My dear friend. What do you think? I don't think your tax burden is not going to be that much better. There's so many more reasons I can go on and on. Save us, Trump, says Rob the Canadian. I've seen some things like that show up in my inbox as well. But, yeah, let's take another call. 850, you're on the air, the open line. Go ahead. Oh, hold on. Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, this is Brian. I'm calling from Kentucky, even though I have a Florida prefix. I'm in the golf course business, so I've moved around quite a bit.
You said you're in the golf. You said you're in the golf course business.
Yeah, I'm a grass farmer. I grow grass for a living. I'm a golf course superintendent. Take care of.
Okay, so is that something where you have to move to where the work is, or would somebody who's maintaining a golf course a couple of states away call you and say, "Hey, man, we need your grass"?
Well, it's really you have to, in most cases, have to get a degree in it. There's a lot of the major universities have programs. I took a little bit different route. I was just loved the game of golf, and I went to the Naval Academy. I was a helicopter pilot way back when, and but after serving time in the Navy and trying a few things, I got into the golf course business. But I also got a degree from a community college in Florida while I did an internship. But I've gone all over the country. I've been in Wyoming, I've been in Florida, a number of courses, and now I'm in Kentucky. So
the Kentucky of course is famous for the bluegrass. How is your lawn? Is your lawn perfect? Do you have the best lawn on the block?
I work for it's an interesting situation. I've actually been in Golf Digest magazine top 100, but that's a lot of stress. And this is kind of a blue collar club I'm with. Fortunately, the greens are in pretty good shape when I took over, but they've lacked the kind of leadership they've needed. And anyway, they hired me, and I was looking for a job because the last job I had in Florida was the worst job I ever had in the entire 30 years in the business. So, but yeah, I got to get out of there. So,
Well,
But,
very interesting stuff. I'd love to learn more at whenever the hell. I remember right when I was leaving college, right when I was about to graduate, I noticed that they added to they added coursework into on the campus for those who want to come in and actually study golf course design. Like that actually became a design study program in my small little college, was golf course design. I don't know if it's still there, but that was beginning to say, damn, people are coming in. They're actually going to spend 4 years undergraduate learning how to design golf courses. That must be a lucrative business.
It can be. There's guys out there, some of them are, your famous golfers and stuff go on and design courses, but there's guys that were never big in the game that made a name for themselves, going way back, Tillinghast and Dick Wilson and, even, but then the modern ones about, Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus and, of course, Tiger Woods and all those guys.
Some of the biggest names in grass ever.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's, I'm a grass hole. What can I tell you?
Well, hey, listen, I'm sorry for pulling you off topic. So what did you want to say?
No, that's all right. I don't know. I love your show because I used to listen to all the shows all the time. It's just like, all right, this is just the only one I stuck with is you because I enjoy your format and that you don't get too far in the weeds of anyone's subject and you change things. I really enjoy that. But, one of the things that's been bugging me is something you touched on a couple of weeks ago is how long it takes after the election before you inaugurate the president. And it's way too much time for these idiots to break all the toys before they get out of office.
Oh, yeah.
And just watching what this banana head Biden, who has never been pro-United States, and I would bet that his son Beau was a piece of shit just like his son Hunter, just never came out. People somewhat respect the dead in that respect, but I'm sure Beau was pretty much didn't fall far from the tree because Biden's just been a jerk as long as he's been in office. He's been a liar. He's been a cheat. He's been a snake. He's screwed over the American public more times than you can count. But,
it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder what kind of a presidency it would have been if he had not been senile the entire time. Because I don't really know too much. I knew Joe Biden. I started getting to know him as a public figure when he was the vice president. And even though he had all of his, most of his faculties at that point, he was still known as a bumbler. And very early on in the Obama administration, we heard so many of those stories of people just wanting to avoid giving anything really important to Joe Biden to do because he always usually ruins it with his mouth or something else.
Oh, yeah.
But can you imagine if
Obama himself was quoted as saying, "Never underestimate the ability of Joe Biden to fuck something up."
Exactly. That's the kind of character witnesses that line up around the block to talk about Joe Biden. So that's why I'm almost like I'm happy that we got the half senile script reading version of him, because if he still had any real fight in him like he did 20 years ago, it might have been even worse. Who knows?
Yeah. And the other thing that's been bugging me is the way the House of Representatives, the vote on that, it looked like the GOP was going to take a sizable majority. And then as the time whittled on, which one of your previous callers talked about, that lead has been whittled down to just a few seats. We all know that cheating happened 4 years ago, and it happened this time too. They just couldn't cheat big enough, and that's what Trump said. So.
And listen, thank you for the call, Brian. And it's a great call, and a great point there at the end as well too. Hope you have a great night. Thanks for still chilling with me every night.
I try to catch you live if I can't, because I am a farmer in the summer. I usually sometimes have to pick it up on BitChute or Rumble or something. But I appreciate you, Frank. Thank you.
Well, I'm there to hang out anytime you're doing the farm work, and just keep me close. We'll have a good time. The hell was I just gonna say about that? Oh, darn it. I had one last thing to say about that subject. And I don't, it's just totally gone now. We're talking about Joe Biden, talking about breaking toys on the way out. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. The see, that's something that's not even necessarily a problem with the inauguration. It definitely takes way too long. I guess you want to give an incoming administration some time to get their cabinet in order, but you think that would be something that you can do pretty quick, maybe something that you have an idea of what you would like to get done, a vision for what the administration would look like when you're still campaigning. I mean, there's so many ways that an organization, a political organization, can cut down the time, the 3 months plus between election day and whatever. But the most important thing is reestablishing red lines in the sand when it comes to voting and vote counting. Because California came up a couple times tonight as far as voting, counting votes 30 days past election day. Well, when you're talking about losing seats and having a slim majority that could have been a sizable majority, at least in modern terms, a lot of those weeks after election day eventual losses came from California. Came from California. Everybody was most of the country was just so, light in their feet, skipping down the street because the White House was taken. It really did go under or over most people's radars that there were some significant steals still in play. All right, let's see here. Okay, I want to bring something up with you real quick before this gets away. And I have to change the title of the conversation here, the show. Take a listen to this. This is from, where the hell is this from? This is about Yankee Stadium. Now, I don't know how flat Earth comes into this, which is just another thing. But the whole idea of Yankee Stadium, there's something wrong about the construction here of Yankee Stadium. And I got to say, just listen a little bit. This is 9 minutes long. We're not going to do all of it. We'll skip around and you'll get the gist. This is what I was talking about last night. All right, here we go. Now, it's this guy. This is from Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. The guy is talking with AI and asking questions about Yankee Stadium, the first Yankee Stadium that was opened in 1923. Now, I know a decent amount about this Yankee Stadium and the Yankees at large, but listen to this just for a little bit.
How long did the original Yankee Stadium take to construct?
The original Yankee Stadium took approximately 284 days to
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Did you say days? Did you say this took... say that again for the people in the back.
The original Yankee Stadium took 284 days to construct, from May 1922 to April 1923. That's less than 10 months.
Yeah, it is. You want to do an estimate of the materials for this as far as the granite, the limestone, marble, and iron is concerned? Please include the subfloors as well.
Yankee Stadium's material breakdown: granite, 300,000 cubic feet.
And please make sure you're considering the underground levels as well, and connected to the tunnel systems that were so important to build.
So you can see how thorough it's getting there. Granite, rebar, concrete, the tunnels, whatever the hell else. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of cubic feet. It comes out to somewhere around 700,000 tons, a 700,000 ton stadium altogether. But the big thing there is that it was put together in 10 months. And the question I asked in the comments, and I tried to ask other people here too, is what's the conclusion? He went on for 9 minutes asking questions and scoffing at the answers. And to that end, it did inspire curiosity in me as to, well, okay, How did Yankee Stadium pop up so quickly? Now, I knew that it was about a year, and I knew that it had to be done with a lot of quickness because the Yankees were getting evicted out of the Polo Grounds. They were outdrawing the Giants at the Polo Grounds, which is right across the street. Okay? Right across the street. They were outdrawing the New York Giants. It was making it really, really uncomfortable for the Giants, and they were just they were hosting a fledgling New York team that was already becoming the darling of the whole island. But here's what I wanted to get at. What was the conclusion? What's going on? And I mean, everybody in the chat, in the comments, were like, the comments are pretty wild. But I'm like, what is it that the Yankee Stadium was already there in some form back when the Dutch still controlled the Bronx? What was it? And this is where things start getting nutty for me, where you could look at something, you say it's not possible for it to be there or for it had to been done like that. So this had to have been some other kind of conspiracy. And of course, you keep going up and up and up, and it has something to do with the earth being flat. Like there's no end to it. You feel like it just gets away from you fast. And I just wanted to focus in on one thing. And so I'm asking myself, what is this particular group of people saying? That Yankee Stadium was already there and that New York City was just erected around it? But there was no record of it anywhere prior to 1921. That's what I don't understand. And I'm asking questions, and I'm looking for the answers in the comments. I'm trying to get some people to respond. I mean, how did everyone miss a 750,000 ton megalithic structure just sitting there on East 161st Street and River Avenue? How did that happen? But again, the video inspires a lot of genuine curiosity with me, just like when I talk to Matt Roski about a lot of things. Now, Matt and I think are on the same page without question for like 85 to 90% of things. And there's about 10 to 15% of things where I'm just like, I'm going to have to make note of that and go check it out. Because it doesn't make sense to me sometimes, and I want it to. And, I don't want to be too quick to believe anything. But this video inspired a lot of genuine curiosity as to how a 60,000 seat capacity stadium was constructed in 284 days, when modern construction crews would need at least 3 years. Now, I mean, for example, right now, the Oakland Athletics are going to be hanging out playing baseball games in Sacramento for the next 3 seasons until their stadium is completed for the 2028 season in Las Vegas. So there's 3 years. But the Yankees, like I said, were getting evicted from the Polo Grounds because they're becoming a nuisance because they're so good. And I went and I did a little bit of research here too. Here's just a little bit that I was able to pull and bring together from Wikipedia and a few other places too. Also some tweets. But how was it that the original stadium constructed in under a year when modern construction would take 3 to 5 years? And I ran this through Grok as well. We'll start with Grok, actually. Let's see here. All right, the construction of the original Yankee Stadium, completed in under a year, was a remarkable feat due to several key factors. Number one, urgency and motivation. The Yankees were getting kicked out of the Polo Grounds with the New York Giants, necessitating a quick relocation. The urgency likely pushed for an accelerated construction timeline. The stadium was built from May 5th, 1922 until it opened on April 18th, 1923, which is an incredibly tight schedule by any standard. Labor and workforce. Historical accounts suggest that around 500 workers were involved in the construction, working diligently to meet the deadline. The labor-intensive approach, combined with an era's less stringent labor laws and safety regulations, allowed for extended work hours and faster progress. Then there's materials and methods. And this was a sticking point from that video as well there too. When you're talking about hundreds of thousands of cubic feet of granite and other heavy materials that is all being taken there by way of horse and buggy and, of course, rail, how limiting is that? Materials and methods. The original Yankee Stadium utilized an extremely hard and durable concrete developed by Thomas Edison, which was both innovative for its time and efficiency in application. The stadium's walls were constructed using this concrete with a total of 20,000 cubic yards used. The simplicity of the design, focusing on functionality rather than the complex amenities of modern stadiums, also contributed to the speed of the construction. Thinking about what you get in a modern stadium versus this. And there are pictures of the construction. There's a lot of it. You can get it in the Library of Congress. Of course, Yankee Stadium itself likes to document this stuff. It's part of their history, and their history is New York's history and the country's history by, But the design and planning. Design was straightforward with fewer modern amenities and complexities like luxury suites or high-tech facilities. The initial plans for the stadium were scaled back from a triple-deck structure to a more manageable double-deck structure with one additional bleacher, which allowed for quicker construction. Economic and social context. In the 1920s, there was a significant boom in construction in New York City. The post-World War I economic climate had a workforce ready and eager for employment, which could have contributed to faster construction. Also, the era's construction methods were more hands-on, with less reliance on sophisticated machinery and detailed planning required in modern projects. Probably weren't held up by unions as well, too, as much. Modern construction comparison. Modern stadiums take longer due to several factors, including stricter regulations on safety, labor laws that limit the work hours, more complex architectural designs that include advanced technology and luxury amenities, environmental considerations and community involvement processes, which can delay projects. The economic and safety considerations today would make replicating the speed of 1923 construction impractical, or downright impossible. So, summary is urgency, simpler design, innovative materials, and less regulatory oversight allowed for the rapid construction of the stadium. That's from everything I was able to gather, on top of just my common sense of knowing that with in 1923, 1921, New York had already been settled for a couple hundred years. And no one ever was reporting that there was a giant megalithic structure sitting where River Avenue was going to be one day, and that it was all just repurposed into a baseball stadium to either cover up something. And this is what I'm just gathering, because these theories are put out there without any real I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't lead anywhere. Here's a couple of comments. Just like with the Empire State Building, somebody commented, it does not add up. Construction started on March 17th, 1930, and the building opened 13 and a half months later afterwards on May 1st, 1931. Also, you need to consider what other major construction projects were going on at the time, not to mention skilled labor available. So what doesn't add up about the Empire State Building? I mean, these are very, very well-known construction projects. Here's another comment. I love this. Something happened. These buildings were already there. And I'm just like, I bet you any money that person was overdosing on The Price is Right reruns. Bob Barker 2 years ago, and then they just started drinking from the fire hose. I don't know who got them turned on to alternative theories for everything, but they went from Bob Barker and The Price is Right overdose to saying things like this in a comment section. Something happened. These buildings, meaning New York, were already there. No, they weren't. They weren't already there. Okay? They weren't. For example, I had this. This is the thumbnail for tonight. This is the thumbnail for tonight from June 26, 1930. The progress on the exterior of the Empire State Building leading up to November 10th, 1930. So from June to November, how quick just the exterior went up. Now, I mean, especially the Chrysler Building and the Empire State Building. First of all, the Art Deco style alone marks the time. Okay, it marks the time. Here's New York City skyline from 1911. I think this is about this midtown to southern tip of Manhattan. I don't know how panoramic it is. I have to see. But this is 1911, Library of Congress. This is huge here. Not only does it mark the time here in which it was there, like you can go to neoclassical design and all that. You can tell a lot about where something was created by how it looks, and that can give you a lot. Okay, Art Deco design marks the time. Okay, it is a product of the late 20s into the 30s. But I mean, the construction of these two buildings, especially the Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building, I mean, these were reported on so closely because there was essentially a public duel that was being waged right there to see which would be the tallest building in the world. Of course, the Empire State Building won out by a couple of 100 feet, and it was the tallest building in the world until the World Trade Center was completed in 73. But, I mean, these are things that are all over the place. It just baffles me why anyone would want to put themselves so far out on the fringes of reality as to not even be able to enjoy the really awesome, inspiring stories of our greatest architectural and engineering conquests here in the United States. It's sad. And it's confusing. I mean, I can't help but suspect that as I have in the past, that intelligence groups, Tavistock Institute, think tanks, they must have projected far enough into the future to a time when a sizable portion of humanity will start to reach the point where they no longer believe anything that is taught or was taught to them anymore, and they are just the opposite of anything that they knew is what they're going to cling to, because it must all be a lie. And that in itself can become a very powerful mental jujitsu weapon. But you know, all I see is evidence of evolution. Especially over here in New York, when you get anywhere close to the city and you analyze how that skyline was built up and everything. I found something that I thought was really interesting. Is this it? ny.curbed. Listen here, take a look at this. I found this article today. This was printed in, I don't know, it was January 29th, 2019, from the 18th Century Today, an illustrated guide to New York City architecture. So in all the styles you have there, the colonial, neo-colonial, okay? And it tells you exactly like St. Paul's Chapel, St. Mark's in the Bowery, American Academy of Dramatic Arts, Stanford White, all the different things that take on these types of styles. Moving on to neoclassical Greek revival. You have all these playing out in the same city. And, you know, I'm sure that many of your towns and your cities, wherever you are around the world, if not, you know, the country, if not the world, I should say, has this kind of thing going on as well. Federal Hall, Brooklyn Borough Hall, 14 Wall Street, neoclassical Greek revival stuff. Renaissance revival. We were talking about this with Matt last night. Just the strange kind of juxtaposition of these classical, you know, Renaissance, neoclassical kind of very ornate buildings that are popping up right next to shanties. And to me, the first thing I'm thinking of, this is just very early, what they call it. Oh man, whatever. We'll get around to that in just a second. But there are so many other styles here because I wanted to see. And the reason why I got to the front step of this article is because I was thinking about the evidence of evolution of all around us, all over the country, all over the world, and not that there is tons of things that's buried beneath the earth that can unlock chapters of our history that we need to know about, that we had no clue about, that was taken away for one reason or another, or just happened to be covered up in a landslide and was just lost by happenstance. But, you know, like with Bigfoot, or early man, when we talk about Neanderthal and Homo sapien sapien, there wasn't just one day where the sun rose into the sky and one ape was replaced by another ape. There was overlap there. For a time, there's coexistence there, whether it be peaceful or whatever the hell it is. And that's what I kind of see happening in our world. Now, obviously, along the way, there's war, there's conquest, there's reconquest, there's all types of things that are going on, but you have old mixed with new, things that kind of seem a little discordant because different parts of the city were built in different times, the fashion changes, so many things go on. I mean, again, St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City, Gothic revival, 19th century. Cast iron architecture. Let's see here. Art Deco. Art Deco. Perhaps New York's most iconic style is Art Deco, a brash, exuberant movement combining geometric motifs, dramatic historical allusions, and the integration of industrial craft. The movement's name derives from Paris's 1925 exposition, Internationale des Arts Décoratifs. But in New York, the style's emergence echoed the excesses of the Roaring '20s. Buildings designed in this style often incorporated sleek, showy materials like colorful stone, chrome plating, plastic, stainless steel, and glass blocks. It's beautiful, isn't it? I love it. I absolutely love Art Deco. I do. Then there's the international style, where it starts getting a little bit weird. And then you have brutalism, which is just like concrete on the outside, Soviet Union, that kind of shit. And then postmodernism, which is like you're looking at a pile of elephant shit, and somebody says that it's worth $500,000. It's wonderful, groundbreaking art. That's or deconstructivism. That's it. Where you show up and there's just a pile of lumber there, and they say, "Here you go, build your own house." There's some parts of Brooklyn where they were going so crazy with the deconstructionism stuff that they would have deconstructionist restaurants. And if you wanted to go there and have spaghetti, you would have just a plate of wet noodles was given to you, and then your sauce was on the side, the cheese was on the side, the butter, whatever. You want to make it that it's so crazy. It's so nuts. And things burn out. Some things burn out faster than the others, but this is just what was on my mind. Because if there's an overcorrection happening in certain circles, especially in, truth circles and, conspiracy theory and all that stuff, overcorrections have got to be corrected. I mean, that how sad for somebody to walk around thinking that, like, what? And not to even articulate the final point there. What about Yankee Stadium? What? Okay, you feel that it was built in an extremely fast amount of time. It couldn't it couldn't happen today for one reason or another. It was a large amount of materials that was taken over mostly by horse and buggy and by rail. What is the conclusion? Was it already here? And how does it lead to the earth being flat? It's just dizzying sometimes. And it doesn't kill my curiosity in trying to learn about the occult and finding lost things and, secrets of lost civilizations and what made those civilizations go away, and are we slotted for the same fate? It doesn't kill my curiosity at all. But sometimes I just need somebody to fucking explain it to me better. It's crazy. I don't know. Well, so here you go. So now we can conclude 7 days ago, this comment. So now we can conclude that Yankee Stadium was already built way before the 13 colonies ever came to America. Now, it may have taken them a year to clean it and make repairs, they said. And I'm flabbergasted. It was already built way before the 13 colonies came to America? I'm flabbergasted. This person definitely thinks that I don't know what to do. All right, so it's 8:46. I'm going to take a really quick break. When we come back, call me now because I need some help now. I need your help. 914-200-0269. It's the open line. It's for everybody. It's for everything. Give me a call. and let's end this show strong. Be right back. Hey, want to start your day fresh and stimulate your taste buds at the same time? Try the Quite Frankly Elevation Blend Coffee, brought to you by the Coffee Revolution in Davenport, Iowa. An uplifting mix of Ethiopian, Mexican, and Peruvian estate beans and roasted to first crack. Guaranteed to have you coming back for more. And as if you needed more reason to enjoy a fresh pot, did you know that healthy consumption of caffeine has been linked with longevity, lower risk of cardiovascular disease, boosts progesterone, increases in thyroid function, increases in metabolism, mood, and even testosterone after working out? And here's some free advice. Upon waking, drink at least 12 ounces of water with some sea salt. This will leave you hydrated and energized, and then an hour later, have your first cup of Quite Frankly Elevation Blend Coffee. You will feel like moving mountains and making babies. So choose a smooth, organic light roast with my stupid face on the bag to inject some life into your daily routine. Quite Frankly Elevation Blend Coffee is linked at the affiliates page on quitefrankly.tv.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife. And I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. Father of a murdered son, husband of a murdered wife. And I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
Are you ready, kids?
And he will have his vengeance.
Meow, 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 meow.
He will have his vengeance.
Meow, 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 meow.
Father of a murdered son, husband of a murdered wife. And I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
Are you not entertained?
Right. How's everybody feeling? Feeling pretty good. Let's take some calls, 914-200-0269, or you can call the other line if you'd like. Let's take a call from Cool. What's going on, Cool?
Hey, how you doing, Frank?
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been. Sorry about that. I'm still enjoying your show.
Great.
But I've been in California my whole life, and I'll tell you, everything's true directionally. It goes back to Jerry Brown and all of that. But I would say the thing about these two communities that hit me is these are very middle class communities between the Palisades and Eaton Canyon area. So they're this thing that nobody's there to help. Los Angeles is so sprawling that people are they've all gone to school together. They played sports against each other, east side, west side. So all these people are actually living or, being kept up by, friends that have taken them in. I had to evacuate and went to another home, and we have about 6 people all living together, been friends a long time. So I just wanted to sort of clarify that these are good communities. Frank, you love baseball. They're the kind you'd want to grow up in. And so I think that's why the thing about everybody being isolated, not true.
Yeah, I think about that a lot, and I'll tell you, California, there is I'm not very well traveled. Everything I ever thought I wanted, or everything I knew I loved back when I was a kid, I usually got from movies. And when every movie where a bunch of kids, bunch of friends are growing up in California, the beach life, the suburban life out there, the sun, the easygoing, this and that. I mean, I just always loved the depictions of California suburban life from the 1990s. I always loved it. Even urban life looked amazing. D2, Mighty Ducks, and I So, but in many ways, same way with Europe as well. Always living vicariously through the stories told and all that. So I never lose track of that, because here I am, an example of a person who has, I believe, comes from pretty good stock, has a good family, and not with no less problems than any other average family out there, but good friends. And I know a lot of good people where I live who have not lost their damn minds, and we're in New York. So I mean, for the evil, liberal, hopeless New York is a Babylon that needs to be burned to the ground thing. No, I don't go that far either. I just like calling balls and strikes. When things are bad, they're bad, and you get a lot more of those bad things out of states like California and New York. But again, the full story is never told, and when the chaos of something like this is the destructive winds of something like this is still active, it's very hard to pass judgment and speak with broad strokes when there's just so many aspects to it that it's so hard to get them all to light.
Yeah. Hey, Frank, you would have loved growing up in those two communities.
I'm
It was
sure.
kind of the kind of communities that you grow up and you get beat by Pasadena or, whatever school. You sort of shook their head and you sort of knew, oh, now I know what I need to do to get better. That from Little League to T-ball, Little League, Babe Ruth, County Mac, that was the standard. And, your parents wouldn't let you make excuses and say, you got to get better. That you would have been a perfect fit in those two communities.
You're what you're talking about though is a time. What years are you talking about?
I'm talking about the 80s.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you're talking about a time frame. I would love to just. I mean, I know I'm giving up a lot of time. Then you're giving up time at this point. If I were, I'd be in my 50s and getting older if that was my heyday at this point. But I would take the 80s mentality over here in New York right now, honestly.
But Frank, it just hit me because I hadn't thought about the community till the guy said they're all isolated people. You don't know these people. These are salt of the earth people, which sounds kind of funny to say, but these are the least wealthy communities on the east side and the west side. But it hit me that, those two middle class communities have now been destroyed. They don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And seems to fit a larger agenda, but probably don't want to go there yet.
Because we don't know how bad it's going to get. Unfortunately,
yeah.
The containment numbers are abysmal. I mean, I haven't seen anybody report more than 0% yet. Maybe that's getting better. Hopefully it is. But damn, I'm just we'll just gotta sit back and wait.
Frank, I live in the foothills. Thankfully, so far I've been spared. But I'll tell you, they do not clear the brush anymore, and that went back to a decision about 20 years ago. There was some mouse it was affecting the migration.
A mouse?
So they stopped doing it. Yeah, a mouse. I can't remember the details of it, but the environmentalists came in and said cleaning the brush and underbrush is hurting the migration of some mice or something that go through. And it's just there are so many of these stories. The Delta smelt's another one. This latest thing with the hammer, steelhead salmon. These are ludicrous ideas, and it all affects the water. I mean, I don't care how good a firefighter you are. If you don't have water, good luck. And these communities, which are relatively affluent middle class, didn't have water. So there's too many coincidences here. And I mean, just look at the press conferences, and I'll just leave it at that.
The press conferences have been no. They have been terrible to watch. What little I have watched.
You wouldn't let these people walk your dog, let alone be in control of your safety when it comes to fires and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I know. It's horrible. And thank you for the call again. Cool. It's good to hear from you. And all best to you and your family. And call in again soon.
Okay, thanks, Frank.
Yeah,
great show.
And to his point there too, that's another thing that really gets accentuated. Something like this happens, and everybody that's around at the time being gets all the blame, and it really gets spread out for generations prior to. And I'm not there's been a lot of people calling attention to how diverse and woke and DEI oriented all of the fire departments out there. The first lesbian fire chief, this first lesbian that, women all over the place. It's not their fault. I think that I think it's pretty obvious right now with the intensity of these fires. It doesn't matter if a 45-year-old lesbian or I don't know who else would be able to do better at this point. Nobody's making any headway. Unless lesbians started it. They found out. Like in Canada, remember all the girl firefighters that got together to prove that they can do all the work, and they needed the men to come in and help them extinguish the fire. Oh, what the hell was that? Girl firefighters in Canada. Hold on a second. Are you ready to become a female fighter? I got to find this one. That was a ridiculous story. I have to find this one. Maybe I'll do that for tomorrow. Matt might get a kick out of it. Before we go anywhere, which is 8:58, we have great after hours tonight. Here, take a listen to this. Starting in a couple of minutes on quitefrankly.tv, listen to this lineup. Number one, now on Thursday nights, right after Quite Frankly, is Jay Gulanello's Functional Human Podcast. He's got a wonderful co-host, Daryl. She's fantastic. I think you're all going to love these two working together. Every Thursday night after the show, you have the Functional Human Podcast. It's about a half hour long, never more than 40 minutes. So that's going to be right after this show. Go check it out. The Jay Gulanello podcast, the Functional Human Podcast with Jay and Daryl. That's episode 1. Okay, there's going to be an episode. This might be the one with me in it. I'm not sure. I did an interview with them about a few weeks ago that's been couched because that he was going to stockpile episodes so that we can get into this and have it be consistent on Thursday nights. After that, we got the latest with Razor Fist, Burn Hollywood Burn, and then the one what just came out today, Joe Rogan interviewing Mel Gibson. I can't wait to watch that one. Between Wesley Huff and Mel Gibson, I'm actually watching 2 Joe Rogan episodes because I'm interested in the guests, no doubt about it. So that'll be live tonight. And then we are ending with Art Bell. I know this episode, Al Bielek, The Philadelphia Experiment. It's going to be a good one. All starting immediately after this show concludes on quitefrankly.tv. Check it out. Jay Gulanello's podcast. It's short and sweet. I think you're going to love the co-host, and they're a good duo. Razor Fist, real quick, punch to the mouth. Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson. It's Mel. Come on now, it's Mel. And then Art Bell, Al Bielek, The Philadelphia Experiment. That'll take you into the night, and I will be watching there with you. So there you have it. All right, it's 9:00. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything in the several chat rooms. We have 2 super chats on Rumble, the Rumble Rants. Cody says, I went to SoCal for motocross and everyone I met hated shit libs and were great people. I know that it isn't a scientific poll or whatever, but I find it hard to believe that it's truly a blue state. No, I have come to believe it's a very, very mixed state that has a ruthless bureaucracy that's in control of it. And elections are state driven. Elections are state modified and regulated. And if those are the people who are regulating how elections are managed and executed, then a small group of people can wreak havoc on a large group of people. Remember, we were talking about the mafia and being in control of a major metropolitan area like New York City, and then how that translates into the numbers that would be needed to take over any kind of government. Not just a labor union or, something like that. Thank you, Porpoiseful. Sean Joe, Chai Possum says, great show, Frank. By the way, I love your shirt. Well, thank you. I don't know too much about the character, but I know that it was a Sasquatch. Everybody got one of these for Christmas. Forgot who gave them out. Aurora got one. Lauren got one. I got one. So I'm going to wear this tonight. The Sentinel says, FJB banned oil drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. Change the name. We are now drilling in Gulf of America. Let's go. That's the way I think a lot of people are going to be handling this. All right, with that, it's the end of tonight's show. I'll see you tomorrow for the week's conclusion, Friday. Wonderful after-hours lineup on quitefrankly.tv. You have a couple of moments here to open up another browser tab, jump over, and take care. And also, ladies and gentlemen, but John Carroll worked into this, into the after hours. There's always little minute-long how-to videos to stream from your phone, to cast from your phone or your iPad or whatever to your television. So you can just sit back and enjoy, Quite Frankly TV on your television like anything else. High quality, really stable. I mean, it's only getting better and better over there on, it is the episode with me, says Jay Gulanello. So there you have it. An episode you haven't seen. Me and Jay Gulanello, me as a guest with Jay and Daryl. That's tonight in just a couple of seconds on quitefrankly.tv. So go check it out. It's a wonderful conversation. And every Thursday from there on in, it's going to be really awesome to be syndicating that show. And I can't wait to be syndicating more shows from friends of ours. And go enjoy quitefrankly.tv. Have a wonderful evening. See you tomorrow. Email me if there's anything else. And please become a sponsor. All that can be found on quitefrankly.tv. Sponsor us tab.
I'll catch you on the flip side.